Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Right on, writers, and welcome first-time viewers to the Books by Adrian Author platform, and this is Livestream Sunday. We are in Season 5. It has been an excellent season thus far. Thank you all for being here for it. Everybody in the chat, thank you for being here for that. Let me go ahead and get this place looking nice and spiffy for you guys. We're going with the gold today. And where's my music? There it is. All right, let's kick this off the right way. Right on, writers. Okay, so if you are new here, my name is Adrian Santiago. I am an author and YouTube content creator on here. My debut novel, Mythic Shadow of the Spark, is coming out eventually when it's done. I am still in the throes of the editing phase, but it is going very, very well. And I'm excited for you guys to get to read it very soon. If you would like to read it, go ahead and sign up for my newsletter. I'm going to let everybody know not just about the cover reveal and the release dates, but all kinds of announcements are going to be coming through the newsletter. So be sure to sign up for that. We have a great show planned for you guys today. Our guest today is the very awesome Hailie Camarillo, and I can't wait to talk to her about all her different writing. Please label your questions for Miss your questions for Miss Camarillo with a Q, and that's going to help me to find them and single them out when it comes time to do the live chat Q&A. Speaking of the live chat, hello everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and not waste any time and get right into everybody's new favorite new favorite segment. All right. This week in AuthorTube is all about new introductions. We have some newbies that just joined AuthorTube, starting with this guy. I don't know what happened there with the sound, but don't worry about it. All right, so Mr. Joseph Warren is an awesome new addition to AuthorTube because he is doing both AuthorTube and BookTube, which is a whole lot of fun to see those two combined in one channel. He's not only going to be talking about what he's writing, but he's going to be talking about what he's reading, and I am here for it. He's got some obviously creative ideas with his design and everything. So anyway, go over to his channel. Link is down in the description down below. That's Joseph Warren, and he's doing BookTube, AuthorTube combo. We also have V.A. Winter, who is returning to AuthorTube, and she's doing kind of a channel update kind of dealie on this video, where she lets you know what is changing up on her channel and what's coming down the pipeline. And likewise, we have Briar Writes, who is also kind of returning from a bit of a hiatus. All of these creators are still fairly new and fledgling channels with growing subscriber numbers. So go ahead on over there, check out what they have to offer. You got pups, you got books. I mean, what else do you need, right? Pups and books. It's good enough for me, right? All right. Hailie Camarillo is actually going to be next. But first, I have for you, if I can make it work. Here we go. We're going to go with one of these. So that is not this Tuesday. Sorry, I was muted. It's next Tuesday. Not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday. That's going to be Tuesday, October 18th. That's when we're going to cover the first half of the McMurdo Rift on Tuber Book Club. So be there Tuesday, 4 p.m. on October the 18th. We're going to do the first half, and then we're going to follow that up with the second half 2 weeks after that. And then hopefully our customary interview with the authors, the co-authors in this case. All right, you guys, we have put it off long enough. Let's go ahead and get down to it. Miss Hailie Camarillo. All right, I don't know why this thing is stuttering, but hi, Hailie, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me on.
It's my pleasure. I'm going to go ahead and give you center stage for a second here. Go ahead and tell the folks at home who you are, where you're from, and what you're currently working on these days.
All right, so I am author H.R. Camarillo. That's my pen name. I currently am in the throes of, we just literally moved to Texas, a little town called Knippa, and we are still in the process of unpacking and everything, so it's been pretty crazy. I am currently releasing my debut fantasy romance novel, Fury and Flame, which is book 1 of the Witching Hour series. It comes out this October 31st, so it's coming up very quickly. And it is a slow burn, antagonists to lovers fantasy romance featuring a feisty, fiery, foul-mouthed witch named Ollie and her love interest, who is a very calm, cool, collected, and slow to anger elven general named Riker, as they navigate a rebellion against the tyrannical Fae Queen. And there is lots of magic, action, a little bit of spice, like medium to light spice, and yeah, it's a real fun thing. I'm super excited for it. It's been received pretty well with my ARC readers, and I'm very, very excited to share it with the world.
It's so funny because it's like spice, but medium to light, but like, oh, it's somewhere in there in the spectrum of spice. It's in.
Yeah, it's so funny too, because I feel like so many people's like definition of spice is, it's so subjective. So like to me, I'm like, oh, it's medium spice, and other people are like, oh, it's light spice. So I'm like, there's spice.
Yeah, it's like that with both food and reading alike. It's you just never know. Well, I'm very pleased to have you here. I can't wait to talk to you about all of that stuff. Let's take a quick second to say hello to the chat today, as we have some people excited to see you here. RC Scott was first through the door. It's always nice to see who's going to be the first one here. Is this the way to Camarillo? By the way, I'm sorry that I mispronounced your name. I didn't get a chance to ask you before we started, but Camarillo.
Don't worry, it is no problem. Most people get it wrong anyway, so I'm used to that.
And he's already got questions. Oh, I think he's talking to me because he knows that I'm going through some drama with the cover. But speaking of covers, there's the cover to Fury and Flame, which also looks awesome. And we're going to talk about that. What else we got going on here? Helen Garroway. We don't often see you around here, but it's very, very nice to see you today. Hello. We got Ben Pick in the house. What's up, dude? Let's see. What else? Claire. Hello, Claire. Welcome. All right, so it looks like you've got some people waiting for the book, and Richard is excited about the spice. So
awesome.
you've got at least one. All right, so Hailie, let's go ahead and get into the background a little bit. I saw on your website, you're a wife, you've got some children. What do you got going on in your life these days? Where you're from, that whole thing.
Okay, so I am from California, 30 years old, from California, born and raised, and just literally last Monday moved from California all the way to the nice old state of Texas. Okay. It was a huge move. I have 2 little ones, my 5-year-old and my 5-year-old son and my 2-year-old daughter. and we have a whole slew of animals, my 3 dogs, and apparently we've just acquired like 7 cats in our front yard. Yeah, so we have cats now too. And yeah, so I stay home with my kids. My son is autistic, so I'm home, to help a lot with him. And I do book editing, fiction editing mostly, in my free time when I have that. I also run a small little podcast that's been on a bit of a hiatus for the past couple months while this whole process of moving has been happening. But I'm hoping now that we're back here to get back into it.
Well, the podcast, somehow I completely missed it. So before we move forward, why don't you tell us a little bit about the podcast and if it's coming back, what we can expect to see when it comes back?
Yeah, so right now, currently, I just do kind of similar to this, little author spotlights. They're usually about 20 to 30 minutes long. And I am currently working on developing a review slash like author chat with the author type of spotlight, where we go a little bit more in depth. We do a little bit more spoilery type of interviews where we read, like I read their book and we, really chat in depth with it.
Nice.
Yeah, and I also have a, we call it Lit, which is me, my husband, who's also a writer, and one of my best writing friends, Claire Kay, who is a amazing author. We read usually really spicy romance books, and we have a little drinking game that we play. So those are currently in the works as well.
I get the wordplay, lit.
Yeah, lit.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So it says on your little bio there that storytelling was kind of a part of your life as a kid, even before you started reading. So can you tell us a little bit about the whole daydreaming before books thing, and how that shaped you as a reader and as a writer?
Absolutely. So I think from the time I could pretty much talk, I've been telling stories. I used to stay up ridiculously late past my bedtime when I was like 2 or 3 years old, and I would retell all of my dad's, crazy stories of being a firefighter to all of his friends who have probably had heard the story like 8 to 10 times already, but I would be so proud to tell them. So that was always the thing when I was a little. And then as I got older, I was a total daydreamer. I was always thinking of different, worlds I could be in and all of that. And I remember funny thing, when I was in about like 6th grade, I got in trouble for something. I don't know what I was doing, but I got grounded for like a week, and I got TV taken away. I had no computer access, nothing. And I asked my mom, like, well, what am I supposed to do? And she was like, I don't know, if you're that bored, why don't you write yourself a story? And so I was like, okay. And so it just kind of never stopped from there.
Nice. Good advice from mom.
Exactly. So that was a mom win for her.
Yeah. That's a feather in her cap for sure. Now, you go over your education a little bit. It says in there you have a bachelor's in education history, English. You claim to have never done anything with it, but I'm gonna call BS on that right now, because all of our stuff ends up in our stories, right? So how does your educational history kind of wind up in your stories?
Okay, so I will say I did not really know where I wanted to go with college. So it was kind of my parents more who were like, you need to go. And so I went, but I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. So there was a couple years that got wasted on me trying to figure out what I wanted. But I did finally end up. Yeah. So I did end up getting my bachelor's in education, and I got a BA for teaching, and realized after I got my BA that I didn't really want to teach, especially in California at the time. And that definitely plays a role. Ollie, my main character, who is a witch in Fury and Flame, she is not the best student, and that's kind of something that shows up all the time, is that she just didn't really want to study magic that much, and it's kind of a little bit of a hindrance for her, but she always kind of makes it work. And that's kind of what happened with me. We didn't get, we haven't been using our BA the way that most people do, but we make it work.
Right on. I apologize. I actually missed some of your answer there. My Wi-Fi just decided to crap out on me. I'm very sorry. My Wi-Fi is infamous around these parts for deciding to crash only when I'm doing lives.
Of course.
I never have Wi-Fi issues other than when I'm on camera.
Of course.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. But anyway, so it says on there that you're all about fairy tales, and that you actually dread the end of writing a story because you kind of or reading a story because you're like, oh, it's over, and you always seem to be left wanting more.
Yes.
What's that do for you in your own writing? You know what I mean? How does the fairy tales factor in, and how does this sort of like dissatisfaction with endings come in? Because you have to end your own stories as well. So.
You do. Like? I think for me, the endings are so hard, and they're so touchy. You want to make sure that you have a satisfying ending for readers, but you also want to leave open the possibility of more. But also, as a writer, I feel like the endings, it's like saying goodbye to the story, and it's so hard to put in so much time and effort into these characters, into this world, into this magic system, and this, all of these different things. And then to say bye, it's just so sad to me. And I hate goodbyes. Goodbyes are so hard for me. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And fairy tales, I have been obsessed with fairy tales my entire life. I think some of my first stories that I wrote were just, fan fiction of Peter Pan and Cinderella and all these different things. And I always love the fairy tale feel. I mean, who doesn't love a good fairy tale? So I always try and have a little bit of that element into it. Oh, I lost you for a second.
Oh, no, that's me. The other infamous part of my show is the mute button. Wasted college years. I also have a piece of paper I no longer use. And the fake one in my graduation photo is worth more than the real certificate they gave me. I feel that way too. Yes, I figured out I'm on mute. Thank you very much. One of these days I'll figure out how to do a show. My Wi-Fi is plugged directly into the computer. There's really no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse whatsoever. All right. All right. So it looks like we finally got some questions going. I'm setting those aside for later. All right. Coming up next, being a writer, married to a writer. What the actual hell? My wife does not read anything that I write. She has zero interest in it. She promised me that she was going to read. She never did. So what's it like being married to a writer? Do you guys critique each other's stuff? Are you guys each other's editors? Like, what's that whole like relationship like in the house? It's
so interesting. It can be so infuriating, but at the end of the day, it's so amazing. My husband, that's how we ended up, our relationship started, was from our love of fantasy, our love of books. And when he found out that I wrote, he was like, you write? Like, you don't seem like the type of person who would write. And I was like, yeah, I do. And so we ended up switching back work. And he actually was the first person who ever really critiqued my work. And up until that point, I had people who, it's just family and friends who read it and are like, you're amazing, everything's so great.
Yeah.
And he was the first person who gave me honest feedback. And I remember being devastated. I was like, what? It's not amazing? Like, there's
It's not perfect?
Yeah. Like,
Everything I write is perfect. My mom told me it's perfect.
exactly. So I was like, I think for like a good few months, I was like, nope, I'm not picking up a pen. I'm not picking up paper. I'm not looking at the computer. But I did get over it. And it has been so amazing having him in my corner, being as, familiar with my characters as I am myself. It's really funny though, because he's definitely way more of a pantser than I am. He will go into a story with absolutely like no idea where the ending is going.
Pantsers baffle me. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
like he can just, and he's able to stay on track. He's able to write these super amazing stories and not go into like all of these different side stories and plot holes and all this stuff. He's amazing at it.
He's an alien. Got it.
Yes, he's an alien. I am definitely more of a plantser. I definitely do pants a good majority of the dialogue, of everything that's going on in the chapter, but I have to have some sort of idea of what the story is about. And so our brainstorming and plotting like conversations usually end up in a fight. Like it's gonna end up with him getting frustrated because he's just like, just write it. And I'm like, no, but no, I need to know where I'm going. Like I can't just write it. So yeah.
Yeah. Pantsers from the most novice all the way up to Stephen King. Like I don't get any of them. How do they do it? How do they keep it all straight? Like I have copious notes everywhere. I basically have an encyclopedia I had to write a book before I could write a book.
Oh, how funny!
So that I could go through the book and be like, oh yeah, that's what it's about.
There's my notes.
Yeah, it's bananas. My mom said I'm cool.
Yeah.
Why do we always keep the fact that we're writers under wraps? It's like a thing in the closet that we don't want to tell people until the book, and then we're like, oh yeah, I read a book.
Right. I know.
I feel like everyone on the show this season is a plantser. Yeah. Folks will use plantser. We always on this, at least I on this channel always use the word gardener for it. Gardener versus architect, the gardener kind of knows where it's all going, but there's so many different factors that can just derail the whole thing, right? Yeah, it's fun. Okay. Now, I'm extremely curious about this because you were very vague and didn't elaborate. What's up with the 20 surgeries? Why so many surgeries? What is going on? Are you okay?
I'm okay. So I have this crazy nerve disease called CRPS, which stands for Complex Regional Pain Syndrome. And basically it is, it can happen because of trauma. The trauma can be very small or very large. It just kind of pops up. They don't really know that much about it, but it basically just causes constant chronic pain that does not go away. And so originally I was about 14 and a half. I twisted my ankle playing soccer for like about a year and a half. I went to numerous doctors and they're like, no, it's just a sprain. And finally we got to a doctor who was like, no, actually you have some torn ligaments that didn't heal properly. So we ended up having surgery because of that. And ever since then, I still, after the injury that I had, I developed what's called CRPS. And since then, I've just had constant chronic pain. Yikes. And so I have 3 spinal cord stimulators in my back that they send like soothing signals down to various one of them is to my left ankle, the other is to my right ankle, which I ended up tearing all the ligaments in as well from tripping over a pebble. Also a walking disaster. I have elbow pain because I bumped my funny bone, but because of the CRPS, I developed chronic pain from that too. So yeah, I'm a bionic woman with.
I was just gonna say you're a cyborg. You have like cyborg,
so.
Right on, yeah. All for the cyborgs.
Yeah,
I have them in my book.
Awesome, very cool.
The more I write, I've become more of a planner. So you're going the other way from pantser to planner. And no, Richard, she does not use spreadsheets to draft her novel. She's not a psycho. Richard, you have trained everything from a Chihuahua to a wolf. Explain yourself immediately.
Okay,
what are you doing with wolves?
Actually, I was a dog groomer for 12 years. And so I would groom dogs, all types of dogs. So from Chihuahuas to wolves, I worked
You
with.
groomed wolves.
Yeah, I did.
Why?
Because they're amazing. They're really, really, really cool.
Also very scary.
These were tamed wolves. They were. We had a couple who owned like a animal rescue, and so they had these. They had a couple wolves. They had about 4 wolves. But yeah, they were really awesome working
That's
with.
wild.
They're a little bit different. They're a lot different than dogs, but the way that you go about grooming them is a lot different. I remember at the time my manager was like, you have to be very assertive with them. Like you can't act scared around them because they will mess with you.
Yeah.
If they sense your fear, they're going to mess with you a lot. So yeah, it was really interesting, but I absolutely loved working with wolves. I would probably absolutely love working with them over Chihuahuas any day. I got bit by 4 Chihuahuas.
A Chihuahua is it's a Chihuahua. There's only so much you can do with a Chihuahua. If it was a full-grown wolf, I imagine it was very large. That's where most of, like, when their head is bigger than my head, I'm just like, you can chomp on me. I'm not down. Yeah, that's scary.
I think the biggest wolf I worked on was about 150 pounds. He was a big wolf.
Whoa. Thank you, Ben. Chihuahuas are the worst. I will tell my wife that you said so that she stops bothering me about getting one, because it's not going to happen. Now, pitch to us Fury and Flame and the Witching Hour series.
Okay. So, the Witching
Which
Hour...
you already did kind of pitch the book. I'm sorry, but
But I'll do it again. It's okay. So, it is a slow burn, antagonist to lovers, dual POV fantasy romance, featuring Ollie, who is a stubborn, foul-mouthed, feisty witch who is just very takes no BS. And she ends up getting teamed up with this elven berserker named Riker, who is he's very calm, cool, collected. He's very guarded with his past, and he has this just awakening desire from the minute that he meets Ollie, which is terrifying to him because he is a mated male. He has a soulmate who, for reasons that I won't say, cannot be with, and he has a lot of guilt over this, and unfortunately this burning desire that he has for Ollie only fuels that guilt. So they get teamed up to look into a slew of disappearances that are happening throughout the entire realm. Elves, fae, witches, half-breeds are going missing, and Ollie, one of her best friends, actually has gone missing, and she has a personal reason to look into these disappearances. So the whole book revolves around them having to look into these disappearances, take down the tyrannical Fae Queen, and figure out these feelings that they have for each other.
Nice. And it is the first in a series, the Witching Hour series. Yeah. How many books do you have planned?
I am thinking it's probably going to be about 4 or 5. It's definitely going to be 4 with a novella, but I am a very long-winded writer, so most likely it will be 5.
You're in good company. Don't worry about that. No Chihuahua, but what about getting a wolf? I'm open to it if they're as friendly as Hailie says that they are. But and as far as your bionic woman stuff, it sounds like a superhero origin story. So yeah, there you go. Just got to get you a costume.
Yes.
Now, how about your work in progresses? I know you said this one is about to come out, right?
Yes, this one releases in just a little less than a month. This
Nice.
releases on Halloween, so that's super exciting.
Cool.
Yeah, and then I am hopefully planning to have book 2 finished. I have about 10 chapters left of book 2. And I'm hoping to finish that by Halloween. But I feel like that might be a little bit ambitious. So looking at mid-November, most likely. So
Yeah. Deadlines, right?
yeah,
Mm.
it gets to the point where it's like, okay, it's super critical. Now it needs to get done. So we'll see what we can get done between the kids and getting everything moved in, but we'll see. So
Nice.
I've got that. I currently have a another romantic fantasy that is a fantasy with Western elements to it that currently I'm probably going to have ready by next September. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Cool. What about any plans for like audiobooks or anything like that? Have you looked into that part of
yeah,
it?
I am
Formatting?
looking into. I'm actually talking with a audiobook narrator, and we might actually dual narrate together because Ollie, the main character, who she's very near and dear to my heart. She is me and her are. She's mine, and I feel like if there were any character that I could do, it would be her. I know her ins and outs. I know everything about her. So I really think that I could I could achieve what I want with Ollie. So yeah,
Right on.
so we're talking about it. Nothing has happened yet, but we're in talks for an audiobook for sure.
Nice. Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see here. What else do I got? We mentioned something earlier, and now I can't remember what it was. During when we first started out, I said that I was going to ask you more about it later, and I completely forgot what it was. I didn't write it down.
I just
Oh boy. Okay, that's okay. It'll come back to me. Let's go ahead and switch gears a little bit into the live chat Q&A. One sec here. All right, chat. We're kicking into the live chat Q&A a little earlier than usual, so I'm gonna need y'all to kick it up a notch with those questions because I only have 3 so far. Let's dive in. Number 1, coming from Ben. If you don't like endings, how do you feel about leaving a novel on a cliffhanger?
So I actually do leave book 1 on a cliffhanger. It I asked a bunch of people, a bunch of my readers, if if they are okay with that, and a bunch of them were super happy. So they were like, "Please." It makes me want to have like the second book more. So I was like, "Okay, well, since you guys asked for it, you're getting a cliffhanger."
Yeah,
So
there you go.
so they got it.
Ask and you shall receive. And this reminds me of one other thing I wanted to ask you: traditionally publishing or self-publishing? What's the route
Self-publishing, yes,
for all of them, or just this first one?
for all of them. I think I like having the control of what I get to put out. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Where did the idea for your book originate?
It came from a dream. All of my books actually came from a dream. It's honestly been so long since this book actually, since I've had that dream that it's changed so much in the 6 years that I've been working on it. It had started out with completely different main characters. Those characters are actually in the book. Violet and Rave are 2 of the side characters. But I wrote the original manuscript. It was about 206,000 words. It was a big book. And Riker actually didn't even come in until about halfway through the book. And Ollie didn't come in until about the last 200 pages. But everybody who read that version was like, Ollie and Riker's love story is amazing. And so I was like, okay, maybe I should make Ollie and Riker the main characters. But I put it aside for a really long time because I didn't want to have Ollie as a main character originally because Ollie she's a lot to handle for some people. She's a lot.
Those are the best main characters, the ones that are just a real handful, man.
Yeah, she is a lot to handle, and I was really worried that people would not receive her well. So I put her off for a while, and I worked on a few other projects, and she just kept coming back up. She kept coming back up. She kept being super persistent, and I tried doing a few different things with her. I think I rewrote this book like 6 times. So many times I had to go over it. But I ended up finally, I was like, okay, you know what? You've been wanting it. You won't get out of my head. I'm just going to make you the main character. And if everyone hates you, it's not my fault.
Yeah, you did this to yourself.
So far with ARC readers, she's been received really well.
Cool.
And that makes me super happy because I was terrified that people were, I mean, if there ever were a quote to fit a person, it would be like, you know, she might not be everyone's cup of tea, but she's someone's shot of whiskey. That's Ollie in a nutshell.
I dig that. I dig that a lot. I can relate to that a lot because I had a character that was rattling around in my brain for years, and I kept trying to put her in different stories. I tried putting her in a Western once and a couple other things, and she was always solid as a character, but she just wasn't right for the story. She was never right for the story, never right for the world, and not from a I'm worried how people will take her standpoint, but from the opposite, where I'm like, I hold her in such high regard. This story isn't good enough for her. You know what I mean? So like I had to like just keep finding a until like one day she just like a puzzle piece popped right into the story, the novel that I'm putting out now. So yeah, I can definitely relate for sure.
Those characters are fun.
Now you differentiated between lovers, enemies to lovers, and antagonists to lovers. So how would you differentiate those two, like you pitched in your book?
So I feel that Ollie and Riker aren't necessarily enemies. They definitely are very antagonistic to each other. Ollie is very interested in Riker, and Riker is not. Well, he is interested in her, but he also has all of this guilt and, you know, is resisting her. So it's very antagonistic. Their relationship is very much, she's just a burr in his side for a good majority of the book. So I labeled it as antagonists to lovers because I feel like they aren't quite enemies, and I didn't want to disappoint anybody when they got into the book and were like, they're not really enemies though. They kind of like, they're both working for the same side. And there's no like, we don't like each other from the beginning. The reason why Riker doesn't like Ollie is because she makes him feel, which he hasn't wanted to because he feels guilty.
That's awesome. I'm into it. Is there anything you learned during the publishing process that you would definitely change for the next book?
So I think that the biggest thing was that I was expecting Amazon to be a little bit more user friendly. I was not super prepared for that. I feel like Barnes & Noble was really awesome to work through. It was super easy. Ingram Spark, super easy. And I mean, I will definitely use Amazon in the future, but I think I wasn't prepared for that. Just how many different things you need to do. It's a lot. So I think giving yourself enough time to figure out exactly everything so that you're not just going into it kind of winging it, because that's my life motto is just wing it. We're gonna get through. So
figure it out later.
Yeah, like we're just gonna dive right in, and you know, hopefully we can swim. So
Nice. Forgive me, I'm just copying over a comment that I'm going to put up on the screen in a second here. All right. Next up, we have, here it is. Where did the inspiration for the character Ollie come from? Not sure about the spelling, but go for it.
Yes, that the perfect spelling for Ollie.
Go for
Um, so Ollie originally, in the first version of what is now Fury and Flame, I needed an antagonist for Riker. For he ended up becoming a major character towards the end of the book, and I needed somebody to kind of not be an enemy, but to just kind of make him feel things. And I came up with Ollie. I wanted her to be completely opposite him. So he is very, like I said, calm, cool, collected, slow to anger. He's very patient. He's like everything that is right and just and good in the world. And I was like, I need somebody who is like completely opposite of him, who is impulsive, who's stubborn, who's loud, who's opinionated, who's foul mouthed, like just everything to be antagonistic towards him. And it ended up that I realized they had such great chemistry. And it was really early on into writing them that I realized, oh, Riker doesn't hate her, he's in love with her. So that was where the inspiration came from. She's also what I think is drunk Hailie. I get a bit loud and a bit opinionated, and I get very confrontational. So
the other personality comes out.
she's the alter ego.
I think it's funny that their chemistry and relationship was a surprise even to you, sort of like it
Oh
just
yeah,
kind of it bubbled up on its own. That speaks highly for the whole antagonist to lovers thing, like coming through. I dig that.
thank you.
All right, who is your favorite side character from your book?
It's so hard because I have so many, and I feel like all of my favorite characters are side characters. But I feel like Rave is probably my favorite side character. He has this awesome relationship with both Ollie and Riker. He actually just so happens to be both of their best friends, completely separate, but they're both of his best friends. And his relationship with Ollie is just so fun, and it's so competitive but good natured. And it was really inspired by my brother-in-law and mine's relationship. We have a very competitive but like super fun friendship. And so he definitely, there's a few scenes where they have like, there's a couple heart to hearts, there's some, showboating and like competition between them. And it was really fun to write because I was able to draw a lot of personal experience from me and my brother-in-law.
And that was originally meant to be one of the main characters, and then
Yes.
kind of took backstage to the side characters that became the main characters.
Yes.
That's interesting that he became your favorite side character, because
Mhm.
you're right. Most of my favorite characters are side characters,
Yeah.
which is interesting because like we choose the main character, so it just doesn't make any sense.
I think that's why I feel like it's like because we get little bits of those supporting characters. So
You always
you
want more.
wanting more.
Yeah, for sure. Everything takes longer than you expect. Yeah. I thought that my book would be out by December. It's not going to happen. It's probably
Aw.
more January, February. No, I'm not too far behind, but you got to get it right. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You want to get it right. All right. So let's switch gears one more time here for. All right, y'all. Comment of the week. Here we go. Comes from, he's in the chat today, Monsieur Ben Pick, from the Tuber Book Club interview episode where we interviewed him about his awesome book, Falling Through. He posted this comment that, of course, as soon as it was over, he remembered a perfect answer for both a scene he was glad he removed and a trope that he doesn't like. There was a stereotypical power fantasy scene where Derek, the main character's power, exploded outward in his fury after being intentionally pushed down the stairs. So he was being, bullied or whatnot. It kind of came out. And instead, he went with the story with Derek already having his powers, no origin story needed. I selected this comment because it's the opposite of of mine where I started my first chapter with my main character already in the throes of what we're doing and reminiscing about how she had just become a detective, just gotten promoted, and this was her first case, and what a big moment that was for her. And I let one of my critique partners read it, and they were like, "I want to see that. Like, you need to build up this big moment for her. It's such a big. I want to see it." So I went back and rewrote that chapter, starting with her getting the, and it's way better. So like I had to inject a sort of origin story rather than take it out. So interesting how it's the opposite. Everybody does it different. Huzzah! What does Ben get to pick as a prize? Richard, get out. Uh, so proud of you, Hailie. There you go. No, he doesn't get any free merch. Stop. You guys are going to bleed me dry. Okay. All right, folks, let's get some last minute questions for Hailie Camarillo in here before we start wrapping down at the top of the hour. We are we're getting down to it. You're just getting love from Cheyenne. Love. I dig it. I dig it. Here's one. Which part of the writing process do you enjoy the most, the writing or the editing?
This is so hard. This is a great question. I feel like, so I used to hate editing. Absolutely used to hate it. But I feel like it's just two different ball games. Like writing is one thing and editing is an entirely different beast. And you can't approach them the same. I love getting to like fine tune things in the editing stage. I love getting to like add emotion in. I love getting to add those little details that just I didn't get in the first couple rounds in. So I do love looking at the nice, pretty, final, finished product of editing. But at the same time, I really, really, really love the raw emotion that goes into the whole writing process and getting to experience those emotions and that banter and experiencing the story with the characters for the first time. So I can't say which part I enjoy most. It's so different. But I have aspects that I like of both so much.
Yeah, for sure. The discovery of that first draft is just there's nothing else like that in my opinion. But then Terry Pratchett said that the process of writing your first draft is the process of telling yourself the story.
Yes.
Which is probably why we enjoy that particular part so much. But then Neil Gaiman says that the editing into the second draft is the process of making it look like you knew what you were doing all along. And that is also really fun for me because it makes you feel like really powerful. Like, oh, like I'm going to put this stuff in the beginning here and it foreshadows how I ended. And it's going to look like I had it planned and I didn't. It's just nonsense.
Exactly.
Will the same characters be carrying on the story in the series?
Yes, you will definitely be seeing, especially Ollie will for sure be a continuous part of every single book. And there are, it's mostly dual POV. There are a few extra chapters from Rave, from Violet. Book 2 will have some new characters that are in book 1 that just don't have POVs in book 1. So Astrid, who is a side character, as well as Eris, will get POV chapters. And I'm very, very interested and excited for you guys to meet both of them.
Nice. Yeah. If you could live in the world of Fury and Flame for a day, would you?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Fantasy over reality any day.
For sure.
Maybe at least if it was like for a day. Like, can I go and then like have a day away from the kids and then come back? That would be perfect.
Yeah, I think I would take any like fantasy for a day. If it's just for a day, like absolutely. Like
if I had to live in it, maybe not. But I feel like Fury and Flame's world is pretty fun.
Yeah, I want to ride a dragon for a day and then go home before it gets hungry and wants to eat me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Will we be seeing more character development for the side characters in future books?
Yes, you absolutely will. Astrid, who is a side character in book 1, she gets introduced about halfway through. She is actually going to have her own novella/novel, depending on how wordy I am with it. So most likely it's going to be her own novel. She, and like I said, Eris will be another POV character that you get. You also get some new characters that you didn't meet in book one, who are going to be more prominent in book two. So yeah.
Cool. Sorry for the children screaming
Oh my gosh.
and making noise.
And
Helen loves both parts, the editing and the writing. Is still writing, especially when your editor keeps telling you to add more. Yeah, that is technically still writing. You got to make up more stuff.
Definitely is.
All right. I think we have one more here. What is unique about your world? I think world building is the best part. So yeah, what makes your world your world?
So I think that what is really interesting about mine is all of the different like races of beings have different magic systems. So there's not just one magic system for everyone. My witches are witches. It doesn't matter if you have a fae, like all of my witches are females. That's one thing. All of my witches are females. And if you have a witch mother and a fae father, it's still going to be a witch. That's just how it works. And they have their own magic system that is based off of their eye color. So yeah, Ollie, my witch, has she has a silver eye and a gold eye. Her silver eye represents healing and animal magic. Her golden eye is she can see the truth, so nobody can lie to her. So yeah, so Ollie has, with her silver eye, the ability to compel and heal animals, and so she has an entire gang of rescue animals that she just, brings along with her on every adventure.
I'm seeing the similarities, Hailie. I'm seeing the similarities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does she also have 7 cats that showed up on her doorstep?
She does not, but I have debated she will definitely be getting more animals as the story progresses. Right now she has, currently by the end of book 1, she has 5. I won't ruin what all she has, but one of my favorite, and he is a crowd favorite at this point, is Ghost. He needs to be mentioned. He is her little white bat who hangs out on her shoulder and hides in her hair. And
okay, I need to read this book. I need to read it immediately. You're singing the song of my people. Animal friends are the best.
Yes, so she's like a Disney princess, but she's foul mouthed. So
my kind of Disney princess.
Yeah,
we need more of those. For sure. All right. Is there anything that you wanted to cover today on Livestream Sunday? Anything you wanted to let the people know about? Maybe I haven't asked. Maybe it hasn't come up.
So I am having a pre-sale giveaway for anybody who is interested. The first 50 people who pre-order will be getting a free character art of Ollie, as well as a bookmark for her. I think actually it's two character arts of her and a bookmark. And then after that, if you end up pre-ordering a book and you go to the form in my link tree, if you
down below.
Yes, I have a form that you can fill out, and everyone who fills that out gets entered into a giveaway, which has a book box basically from me. I'm going to be giving away 2 book boxes that have a signed copy of the book, character art, character candles, and another bookish surprise, hopefully. So yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Thank you.
Is the pre-order international?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Nice. Sign up, everybody. Links are down below. Go take care of that stat. All right, let's run a quick little ad here to remind everybody that Adrian needs to make money. Hailie, thank you so very much for joining me today for Livestream Sunday. This was great. This was a lot of fun. Stick around. We're going to do Typewriters Podcast next up. I had something around here that I can throw up on the screen. Yes. So Typewriters Podcast, Miss Hailie's episode will be this coming Thursday at 4 p.m. That's when it premieres. We're going to pre-record it and I'll upload it on Thursday, and I'll be in the chat if you guys want to be there with me during the premiere. We got Tuber Book Club. Once again, that's on the 18th, where we cover part 1, which is the first half of the McMurdo Rift by Bradley Lejeune. Next Sunday, we have Melinda Kuchera. I think it's Kuchera. Another one I have to ask on the pronunciations. And we got the Yay on the International. Yep, thank you. Lots of fun. Yep. Have a nice Sunday, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Please come back next Sunday, 4 p.m. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you so much for being with us, and we will catch you guys all next time. Right on, writers. We are out.